What if I told you that one of history's most powerful queens had black, rotting teeth and breath so foul it made foreign ambassadors physically uncomfortable? What if I told you she covered her face in deadly poison every single day and rarely bathed because she believed water could kill her? This is Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen. The woman who defeated the Spanish Armada and turned England into a global power. But behind the jewels, the silk gowns, and the carefully painted mask was something far more disturbing. Have you ever met someone so obsessed with their appearance that they'd risk their health for it? Have you ever known anyone who believed their image was more important than the truth? That's exactly what Elizabeth did. And the lengths she went to maintain her perfect reputation will shock you. See, in the 1500s, hygiene wasn't about being healthy. It was about looking powerful. And Elizabeth turned it into an art form, a dangerous, disgusting art form. She didn't just avoid baths. She built an entire system of illusion, using perfume, powder, and poison to hide the reality of her aging, decaying body. Today, we're revealing 5 of the most disgusting hygiene practices of Queen Elizabeth I. From her obsession with sugar that destroyed her smile, to the toxic makeup that ate away at her skin, to the shocking truth about how royalty dealt with human waste in golden palaces. And trust me, number 5 is going to blow your mind. But here's the thing, Elizabeth wasn't ignorant. She wasn't careless. Every choice she made, every disgusting habit she kept was calculated. Because in her world, showing weakness meant losing power. And she would rather poison herself than let anyone see her as human. So, if you love dark history, shocking secrets, and stories that make you grateful for modern plumbing, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because what you're about to discover will change the way you see royalty forever. Let's start with her mouth. And trust me, you're going to want to sit down for this one. Elizabeth had a powerful addiction, sugar, and it destroyed her from the inside out. In the 1500s, sugar wasn't just rare. It was liquid gold. It came from distant colonies, cost more than most people earned in a year, and only the wealthiest could afford it. For most English citizens, sugar was something they'd never tasted in their entire lifetime. But for the Queen of England, it was everywhere. Her royal banquets were legendary. Candied violets, sugar-covered fruits, sweet almond marzipan, desserts dripping in syrup. She didn't just enjoy sweets, she consumed them obsessively. To have sugar at your table was to show the world you had power, and Elizabeth wore her sugar addiction like a crown. But here's where it gets horrifying. The more she ate, the faster her teeth rotted. And dental care in Tudor England? Absolutely brutal. Most people cleaned their teeth with twigs, rough rags, or crushed eggshells. The Queen, however, had access to special tooth powders made by royal physicians. The main ingredient? Sugar mixed with herbs. Yes, you heard that right. She was cleaning her teeth with the very substance that was destroying them. To make matters worse, these powders were gritty and abrasive, scraping away the protective enamel with every use. Her teeth didn't stand a chance. By the 1590s, foreign ambassadors visiting her court were horrified by what they saw. Her teeth had turned completely black. Some were broken, others were missing entirely. Her breath was so foul that people standing near her during audiences would try to hold their breath or step back without being obvious. And when she spoke, her words sometimes slurred because she was trying to talk through a mouth full of decay. You'd think she'd do something about it, right? Wrong. Elizabeth was terrified of pain. She refused to let doctors pull her rotting teeth. To convince her it wasn't a death sentence, one of her loyal courtiers actually volunteered to have his own tooth pulled right in front of her. He sat there, gritting through the agony, just to prove the Queen could survive it. But here's the most twisted part. Instead of being embarrassed by her black teeth, the noble women in her court started copying her. They deliberately blackened their own teeth with soot and charcoal to match the Queen's appearance. If Elizabeth had black teeth, then black teeth became beautiful. They became a symbol of wealth and status. The darker your smile, the richer you appeared. That's the insane power of royalty. Even decay became desirable. Even rot became fashion. You've probably heard the famous quote, "I bathe once a month whether I need it or not." Some historians say Queen Elizabeth actually said it. Others claim it's just legend. But either way, it reveals something disturbing about how people in the 1500s viewed cleanliness. Water was the enemy. Seriously. People in Tudor England believed that bathing could weaken your body, open your pores to deadly disease, and let in something they called miasma, invisible poisonous air that spread sickness like the plague. To them, taking a bath wasn't just unnecessary, it was dangerous. So Elizabeth avoided it. Instead of soap and water, she had a completely different approach to staying clean. She changed her linen underclothes, called shifts, multiple times throughout the day. The Tudor belief was that these soft fabrics absorbed sweat, dirt, and toxins directly from the skin. No scrubbing required. Just swap out the cloth and you're good to go. When she did freshen up, it wasn't with water. Her royal apothecaries prepared special mixtures of rose water, vinegar, and crushed herbs. Her handmaids would gently dab these onto her skin in slow, careful rituals. It wasn't about hygiene, it was about maintaining appearances. Her body was treated like a sacred relic, something too precious to be touched by something as common as water. But why didn't she just take a real bath? Because it was a massive production. Her palaces had no running water, no pipes, no faucets. If she wanted a bath, servants had to haul in a giant wooden tub, heat dozens of buckets of water over fires, and coordinate at least 3 people to pour, stir, and prepare everything. It was like planning a royal ceremony just to get clean. Bathing was a luxury event, not a daily routine, so she skipped it. And yet, to everyone around her, she appeared flawless. She wore hundreds of gowns made from the finest silk and velvet. She smelled like flowers and expensive spices. She kept perfumed gloves tucked in her sleeves and scented handkerchiefs at the ready. From the outside, she looked like perfection, but it was all smoke and mirrors. There was no real scrubbing, no rinsing, no soap cutting through grime. She wasn't avoiding baths because she was lazy or dirty. She was avoiding them because water could ruin the illusion. It could smudge her makeup. It could expose her aging skin. It could make her look human. And in Elizabeth's mind, a queen was never supposed to look human. If you're sitting there thinking, thank goodness for modern showers, drop a comment below and let me know. And stick around, because what's coming next is even worse. Queen Elizabeth's face is one of the most recognizable images in history, pale as snow, smooth as marble, flawless and frozen in time. But here's the truth, that wasn't her real face. It was a mask, a carefully constructed lie painted on every single day, and it was killing her. In Tudor England, pale skin was everything. It meant you were wealthy, refined, and chosen by God. The whiter your skin, the more powerful you appeared. Tanned skin meant you worked outside like a peasant. So Elizabeth took it to the extreme. She didn't just wear makeup, she weaponized it. Her favorite product was called Venetian Ceruse. It was a thick white paste made from white lead mixed with vinegar. When applied to the skin, it created a ghostly porcelain finish that covered every imperfection, every wrinkle, every scar. She looked ageless, untouchable, divine. But underneath, it was poison. Pure, deadly poison. The lead soaked into her skin, causing rashes, open sores, and permanent scarring. The more damage it caused, the more makeup she needed to cover it up. It became a vicious cycle. Her real face was being eaten away, so she kept piling on thicker and thicker layers until her face became a stiff, cracking mask. And it didn't stop there. For her lips and cheeks, she used bright red pigments made from mercury. Yes, mercury. One of the most toxic substances known to humanity. The more she used it, the sicker she became. Her moods shifted unpredictably. Her memory started fading. Her hands trembled. She became paranoid and irritable. These are all classic symptoms of mercury poisoning. And she was doing it to herself every single day. So why didn't she stop? Because her face didn't belong to her anymore. It belonged to England. Her image was her power. It was the only thing keeping her legend alive. She controlled how artists painted her, demanding they use official templates based on portraits from her younger years. No matter how old she got, her paintings stayed young. She refused to let anyone see her in natural sunlight. Candles and shadows became her best friends, hiding the cracks in her mask. In her final years, people whispered that her face had become so fragile, so coated in layers of toxic paste, that even a gentle touch could cause pieces to flake off. She stopped washing her face entirely. Why would she? Washing it meant wiping away the illusion. It meant revealing the truth. A tired, aging woman trapped beneath the myth of the Virgin Queen. She knew the makeup was poisoning her, but she chose the mask anyway. Because to Elizabeth, losing her image was worse than losing her life. If you really want to understand Elizabeth's hygiene, you need to understand her deepest fear, losing control. Every part of her routine, from her painted face to her scented gloves, was designed for one purpose: to hide weakness and project untouchable power. Bathing wasn't just rare in her world, it was seen as dangerous and exposing. When you bathed, you stripped down. You became vulnerable. You showed your humanity. And Elizabeth, who had watched her own mother be publicly destroyed by the court, refused to ever appear weak. So she replaced water with something else: perfume and ritual. Every single day, her servants prepared fresh batches of rose water, lavender oil, vinegar infusions, and crushed herbal mixtures in the palace still rooms. These weren't meant to clean her skin. They were meant to mask odor and create the illusion of freshness. A few drops behind the ears, a wipe across the wrists, a scented handkerchief tucked into her sleeve. She moved through her court like a walking garden, untouched by the smell of normal human life. She carried pomanders everywhere. These were small, ornate metal balls filled with herbs, spices, and resins. Whenever someone too smelly got too close, or when the stench of the palace became unbearable, she'd lift one to her nose and breathe in her own controlled reality. These weren't just accessories, they were shields. They sent a message. I am not like you. I do not smell like the rest of the world. Even her clothing played a role. Her gloves were soaked in perfume, her handkerchiefs drenched in oils. Her gowns were stiff and layered, designed to hide her body and trap scent close to the fabric. She was known to gift perfumed gloves to her favorite courtiers. But these gifts didn't come from her hands. They came from her image. Her hair? Rarely washed. Washing hair was risky, especially for someone wearing toxic makeup every day. Instead, her hair was stiffened with sugar water and egg whites, then powdered to stay in place. As she aged and started losing hair, probably from years of lead and mercury poisoning, she switched to wigs. Bright red ones to match her youthful image. But underneath all that powder, perfume, and performance, her body was collapsing. Years of toxic chemicals had left her skin scarred, thin, and covered in blisters. Rumors spread through the court about peeling skin and open wounds that never healed. She reportedly banned mirrors from her private rooms. She couldn't bear to see the truth, not even herself. Elizabeth became a prisoner of her own creation. She skipped bathing not because it was hard, but because washing away the mask meant admitting she was aging. It meant admitting she was human, and she had spent her entire life convincing the world she was more than that. Before we get to the final and most disgusting practice, I want to hear from you. Do you think she made the right choice? Beauty and power, or health and truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to share this video with anyone who loves twisted history. Now, let's talk about the one thing nobody wants to discuss. What happened when nature called in a palace with no plumbing? Here's the final shocking truth about Queen Elizabeth's world. Her palaces were gorgeous on the outside, but absolutely disgusting on the inside. These massive stone buildings had golden ceilings, velvet carpets, silk tapestries, and rooms filled with music and luxury. But they had no toilets, no sinks, no running water, no plumbing whatsoever. Behind all that beauty was a world that smelled like an open sewer. So what did the Queen use? A fancy wooden chair called a Close Stool. It looked elegant, padded with velvet cushions, and decorated like a throne. But underneath that cushion was just a ceramic pot for collecting waste, and someone had to empty it, clean it, perfume it. Multiple times a day. That job belonged to a man with one of the strangest titles in royal history, the Groom of the Stool. Now, don't be fooled by the name. This wasn't some lowly servant. He was a trusted noble, chosen for his loyalty and discretion. He didn't just help the Queen use the toilet, He helped her dress, managed her private schedule, and sometimes even discussed secret political matters while attending to her most intimate needs. In the bizarre world of Tudor royalty, being close to the Queen during her most private moments meant being close to power itself. But the rest of the palace was far worse. Everyone else used chamber pots, buckets, or bowls that had to be emptied by hand. These were dumped into cesspits buried beneath floors or just outside the palace walls. The job of clearing all this waste fell to men called gong farmers or night soil men. They worked in darkness, hauling buckets of human filth through narrow hallways and cramped staircases, trying not to spill as they carried it to open ditches outside. The smell was unbearable. It clung to the walls, soaked into the floors, and never truly went away. To fight it, the palace staff burned herbs constantly: lavender, rosemary, sweet marjoram. They sprinkled flower petals on the floors and laid down thick layers of straw and rushes soaked in oils to try to trap the stench. But these rushes weren't changed often. Dirt, hair, food crumbs, and rot built up underneath, creating a hidden carpet of filth. Even the Queen couldn't escape it. She moved her court from palace to palace throughout the year, not just for politics, but to escape the overwhelming smell. The longer she stayed in one place, the worse the waste problem became. No amount of perfume, no matter how expensive, could cover up the truth forever. This was the reality of royal life. Gold and jewels on the surface, decay and disease underneath. A world where the most powerful woman in England lived in constant battle with the smell of her own kingdom. So there you have it, 5 of the most disgusting hygiene practices of Queen Elizabeth I, from her sugar-rotted teeth to her toxic makeup, from her fear of water to her perfumed illusions, and finally to the shocking sewage reality of palace life. But here's what you need to understand. Elizabeth wasn't ignorant. She wasn't careless or lazy. Every single one of these disgusting habits was a calculated choice. She knew what she was doing. She chose the mask over her health. She chose the illusion over reality. She chose power over comfort. In a world where showing weakness could get you killed, where being a woman on the throne meant constant threats and challenges, Elizabeth turned her body into a weapon. She became untouchable, ageless, godlike. She didn't just survive. She mastered the art of being seen without ever being truly known. Her legacy isn't just about defeating the Spanish Armada or ruling for 45 years. It's about understanding that image can be more powerful than truth, that sometimes the mask you show the world matters more than the person underneath. So if this video shocked you, disturbed you, or made you grateful for soap, running water, and modern dentistry, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Subscribe to History Explore for more dark and twisted stories from the past. Drop a comment telling me which practice disgusted you the most. And share this video with anyone who thinks they know everything about royalty. Because the truth is always stranger and way more disgusting than the legend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.